I've had an on and off relationship with art for my whole life, so I felt somewhat qualified to give advice. I treat my hobby as a relationship because I give my heart but expect nothing in return. I found out that my expectations normally end in disappointment and I end up stopped drawing and painting altogether. This video is for people who are thinking of starting to draw or people who want to get back into it after a long break. Hi everyone, this is Koelsi, and I guess if you're interested in finding out how to maintain a long and prosperous habit of creating artwork, then this video is for you. There were phases in my life where I didn't draw at all for many months to years. I'm naturally lazy, but drawing was a consistent habit of mine. When I think back to these dark times, my body was comfortable, but my heart was not. It sounds dramatic, but I think getting a taste of what it would be like to not draw at all made me realize how much of a significant part of my life it is. Normally, when I would take a break from drawing, it would be because of comparing myself to other people who were much more skilled at drawing. That would be discouraging. When I first started a blog, so before YouTube or Instagram accounts, which I can barely remember, the number would mean so much. When that number did not grow after a while, I would just quit and tell myself that I needed to be doing other more productive things, such as sleep. There were heaps of excuses, such as being too busy, or that I just wasn't as interested anymore. So, I recently gotten back into drawing, and I realized that it's important to keep a steady pace, and your improvements will show bit by bit. Remember why you decided to draw. It's important to keep in mind why you started art in the first place. Often, people start at a young age because they just enjoy the act of creating something. Just purely enjoying what they are doing. I started as that kid in school drawing stick figure humans. I even gave them 3 whole fingers. It became a hobby, and that I did purely for enjoyment. As we get older, I think we start becoming more critical of ourselves. Especially when our artworks don't turn out the way we want, or we can't see the improvements, it's easy to quit. When people are young, you draw just out of pure enjoyment, even if it may look bad. Kids' drawings are generally not that good, but it doesn't matter in the long run. As an adult, can you imagine telling your younger self that the reason you've stopped drawing is because they aren't that good? Take pride in your work, and it's okay to ignore criticism. In order to draw consistently for a long time, you need to have pride in your work and confidence. If you had a friend who wanted to start learning the piano, you wouldn't discourage them, right? When I see them focused and motivated in putting their efforts towards a goal they've set for themselves, I'm impressed and cheer them on. So, for people around us, we try and encourage them and tell them to go after their dreams. But when it comes to ourselves, I think we are much more critical. When we look at our artworks, we can see the flaws and want to hide them. This kind of fear can be discouraging and takes the fun out of it. If you put a lot of effort in, then people will be able to tell. It's good to take pride in your work and be somewhat stubborn to criticism. It's important to take others' feedback in order to improve, but if you don't agree with what they are saying, I want to say it's okay to ignore that as well. I think in creative fields, some amount of stubbornness is required in order to be bold enough to put your work out there, to be seen by others. But don't be greedy. Greed is the enemy of your creative journey and will knock you down by being the discouraging presence that you don't need. By greed, I mean people want more from their interests. That humble hobby of you doodling in pencil during your classes becomes full-scale paintings. You start to dream of becoming famous or having your artwork in exhibitions, making money, and recognition. If that's what drives you, then that's good, but if you easily become discouraged after comparing yourself to others, then this kind of mindset can work against you, as you may start to feel unmotivated or hopeless. It's not hard to compare yourself, but if you do, then it should be to yourself. Consistent effort is winning half the game, and after a month, year, then many years, you'll probably be embarrassed to call your older work yours. That's good, since it means that the standard you're at has changed. I recommend that you keep a sketchbook, and once you finish that sketchbook, store it away and start on another sketchbook. After many sketchbooks, you can look through your old artworks, but prepare yourself for cringe attacks. I don't recommend going through your old art too often because it's not good for your mental health. And finally, there is the pressure to improve. As people get older, we become more scared, and there seems to be this pressure that whatever your hobby or interest is, you need to be skilled at it. It's good to be skilled. However, by being afraid, you can't get to that skilled level. At the start, beginning from enjoyment and interest, and not looking too much into things like anatomy, perspective, color theory, etc. is okay. I would recommend that you choose one of those kind of skills that you want to focus on, such as anatomy, and practice that on the side whilst drawing the things that you enjoy. Even though the technical details when it comes to drawing are all important, it's important to just purely enjoy the act. Without thinking too much about the correct proportions or perfect shading at times. Nowadays, I just like to draw things that I like and try to learn what I like about other artists so that I can improve as well. One thing that I noticed is that even if, as a complete beginner, if they put in a lot of time and effort into that piece, it's not a bad drawing. Yes, the proportions may be off or there's something not quite right with the person's pose or details, but because it shows their character and their feelings come through, I want to say that some of those technical aspects can be covered, and it's not a bad artwork. I hope that people just start off in their art journey with a light heart, and by setting aside perhaps even 30 minutes of your time, there will be improvements. Thank you for listening. Feel free to let me know in the comments how your art journey is going. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.